Hi, everybody. It's me again, Tori. I hope you had as awesome a month as I have. It was really exciting. We got our first look at visual effects, and I am switching tracks. I was previously on environment and character design, and now I'm going full animation. I've really liked everything that I've learned so far, and a lot of it has shown me that I am very story driven and character driven, and I think animation is exactly the track I need to be on, so I'm very excited. But now let's dive into our first look at visual effects. So in week 1, we needed to make a farm scene. So this was pretty exciting. I'm going to show you how this farm scene went. Nice. So basically, this was a blank scene, and I'll move back through the camera scene. We actually, this was a total blank environment. I put the house in, the barn, the pig, the cow, the scarecrow, the tractor, and then we used animation points to make the objects in the scene move. This was just basically a getting used to Houdini and how everything worked. The spaceship picks up the cow and it flies away. So that's what we did in our first week. Our second week was a little cooler. We made a dice roll. So these dice come out, roll, and land on double sixes. Now, a couple things I could have done differently is if you see right here, somewhere about the middle, see how one of my dice is spinning pretty well and the other one just kind of flops. That's something that I could have worked on a little better, making that dice spin, but it's all about, artistic preferences and just, getting used to the concept of making the dice roll. So that was pretty cool for week 2. Also in week 2, we made an object shatter, as you can see. So the arrow comes through and the foot shatters. This is a statue of Achilles' heel, and we had to use a lot of really cool concepts to get this to do what it needs to. We glued the foot to the ground plane. We put a construct inside of it to make the particles break and fall down and bust. So that's something that was really cool and I loved doing. My favorite project to work on was definitely the Achilles heel. I had so much fun watching that thing fall apart, and I did it over and over and over again. And I actually kind of messed up on a few parts and had to redo it. And just going through that process of getting it right was really fun for me because I like it when I can feel good about it at the end when it's finished and I'm like, yes, I did it. And so that was definitely my favorite project. So in week 3, we did a scene crying. So we actually had a reference from Inside Out. And here, I will pull up the reference for you real quick. So we have sadness crying here. And then we did our own. I'm going to minimize that for a second. And this is mine. So as you can see, we built it so the tears would come up and out, and we used a lot of different techniques to get them to, appear to be water and sparse and coming smaller and then get growing larger in size. Something that I could have improved on is I could have made the teardrops a little bigger as they were coming like right through here. See how hers are a little bit bigger? So that's just something that I could have worked on, but that was super, super fun. What was the most difficult part about learning about rigid bodies and particle solvers? I would have to say for me, the most difficult part was the Python code. So we didn't really get into coding much, but there was a couple things where we were learning about like the equal force and how to get different particles to move, and that was all through code. And that was probably the most difficult part for me. But once I understood what needed to be done, it was really cool how just adding some basic math into these equations made the objects do something. And I think that was really neat for me because that's something that I've never really worked with before. So that was really cool. And this is what we did in week 4. And I'm super excited. I'm going to go through this one a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. And we have a Rubik's Cube. And we used up here, we used our rigid body hero object. And that's our cube. And Then if we go in here, we made our own null tree, and we'll show you how this works. So we went through and we assembled all the parts and the pieces that we needed to in here. We had our main thing that we pulled in from our DOP network, and then we added an attribute wrangle, a scatter, we added the box into it, and then a reassemble. And this is what our final product looked like. And so we have a cube, and it's bursting confetti out of the Rubik's Cube as it spins. So we learned a lot of cool stuff. We learned how to make our own trees, put them together, then we built a final. This is all the information from the cube and all the information from the confetti, and we merged it with our own merge node, and then that's the one that we show because we want all the parts to be shown together, not just the cube. See, that's just the cube jumping around, and we don't want that. Or we could have just the confetti, and that's just the confetti blowing around, which doesn't look very good. But then when you add it to the final and everything is going through and going together, it makes a pretty cool effect. If I could design my own project to work on, what would it be? Let's see. I would probably design a music box character and add some of everything that we kind of learned. You know, maybe she's dancing, but she's sad, so she could be crying. And at the end, maybe she falls and breaks. And so using a lot of the things that we had learned throughout the month and then putting it together at the end where, you know, there's just an actual character doing something. I think that's what I would work on. But I'm very character and story driven, so that kind of makes sense for me. I had an absolutely wonderful month, and I hope you guys did too. It was really cool. VFX is not most likely not going to be a career path for me, but knowing how things work and come into the scene, like that sadness character that we worked on the tears for as an animator, you would animate the scene and then you'd send it off to a VFX person to make it cry. And that's something that I never knew things like that in 3D animation. So I have learned so much, and I hope you guys have too. And I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye.